Robert Carter has been National Chairman of Meat and Wool New Zealand and has been very active in representing his sector. His farm, under the Horizons Region 1 plan, is dealing with issues of sustainability, both economic and environmental, as well as the social aspects that impact on his farm business.
We came from the electrical industry. Suzanne was a teacher, and we finally realised our goal of going farming in 1988 when we came to this farm. The main thing about the electrical industry is that you're constantly updating. You certainly had this psyche that said you need to be constantly learning. So I started going along to farm discussion groups and talking to my neighbours and finding out a lot more about farming, mainly because I was already prepped to go and learn. I'm not saying I'm the best farmer in the King Country, but we do understand that our farm profit is up in the top 10% of local farms. And I think that probably should speak for itself. But we've taken a very low input approach to achieving that profit, and that's from the learning that we've gathered. But there's always a challenge out ahead further, of course. The One Plan is an amalgamation of the regulatory framework that was formed by the amalgamation of the old catchment board plans. And there's quite a difference between the One Plan, which is the framework that Horizons has to have by government statute. There's a differentiation between that and SLUI, which is the Sustainable Land Use Initiative, which is an actual voluntary operating plan that farmers can take up. You see, the One Plan covers such things as water quality, air quality, transport, river control, drainage works. There's all manner of things which are overarching functions which affect everybody in that wider district. I expressed an interest to Alec Mackay from Ag Research that I was interested in some more formal planning for our farm, and they were at that stage working with Horizons, working on the science based around farm plans, which is based on the soils, but also as what you might call a precursor to what Horizons was going to roll out eventually. So the planning side of it became action the day that Lockie Grant and Sarah Duden turned up from Land Vision, along with Lucy Ferguson from Horizons, and they started to really delve into what was actually happening on this property. The background to this plan arose from an original program which was called SUBS, which was Soils Underpinning Business Success. And that got myself and my colleagues interested in this whole business of our businesses based around the soil. We'd always assumed that soil was important, but not really how important. And from that, a group of us formed the local Taumarunui Sustainable Land Management Group, where we sought to demystify this word sustainable and to try and drill into what the real issues were for our businesses based around the soil types that we had on our farms. So this plan that I've got sitting in front of me here is really the Rolls Royce, if you like. It's the whole farm plan under Horizons Sustainable Land Use Initiative, and it's a very comprehensive look at matching the appropriate enterprise to the appropriate soil type on our farm and within our farming business. I guess there's three guiding principles or planks or legs to it. Supporting the social needs that we have, supporting the environmental needs that we have and that the farm and the land needs, and also, very importantly, supporting the economic requirements that we have, because after all, that's the driver. Being able to make some money to be able to carry on living. So it establishes what we call a yield gap between what I'm managing now as an operator and what I could do with it if I was to concentrate more on the better country in loose terms. And it's about fine-tuning, and we found that there was actually a yield gap that I could work towards by putting more fertiliser on the better areas of the farm, less on others, adjusting the stock enterprise to match the land management unit. Really a fine-tuning and an in-depth look at just how we're going about it. I think the antagonism towards the One Plan is purely and simple. Look, we're a fairly proud race here in the King Country, and we don't like people coming in and telling us what we can and can't do, because a lot of the activities we've carried out on farms over the years have been planned by ourselves, and if I've decided one morning that I need a track in a certain place on a farm to enhance stock movement, I've started up my bulldozer, or I've rang up Dave, my digger man, and said, get out here with the digger, I want this track here. And we've never had to think about the effects of our activity. And now Horizons is saying, hey guys, maybe you need to think more deeply about what you're going to do if you're putting a track across the face of a hill. And I think the key driver of that has been the realisation that we need to reduce what is a natural process. You know, erosion is a natural process, we can only reduce it. So by planning out our activities on our farms, we can move towards reducing the silt loading that's in the Wanganui River. We want to be here forever. We don't want to give up livestock farming because that's what we enjoy doing. And I think if we work with the environment, we're going to have a win-win situation rather than a slow, gradual decline into no soil on the hills anymore. In broad terms, there were a few surprises for us. One of them was that I didn't realise just how much dry matter production could be achieved off some of the better areas. And as a counter to that, I didn't realise how little grass or dry matter was produced off other areas of the farm. The farm plan also indicated that there were areas of the farm that should probably be best retired and put into forestry. I didn't want to revisit the mistakes of some of the past experiences that other people and we have had where we've planted pine trees in the most horrible part of the farm, really inappropriate, makes extraction costs difficult. So I've identified some more areas of the farm that A, are close to the road, they're easier to harvest. We're going to do more valuable species than Pinus radiata, such as Cypress lusitanica, maybe some more blackwoods, more high value species, and in areas that are actually close to the road, so the future extraction difficulties will be minimised and it'll also maximise the return. So I took this to Horizons Regional Council, to my local officer, Lucy, and discussed it with her, and they've come up with a really good cunning plan where there's something called the AGS, I think it's called the Afforestation Grant Scheme, which is an initiative by the government to get parts of farms forested. So the downside of it is that I have to give away my first 10 years carbon credits. But because I'm such a cynical person and I've yet to see anybody get any money for carbon credits, I'm happy to give them away in return for a growing forest, which I can then mill at some stage in the next 30 years. When somebody has the experience of eating a lamb from my farm, they want to be assured that that lamb was healthy, that it was happy, that it ate the right sort of food, and indeed that eating experience is going to be good for them. So if we don't embrace the environmental part of our businesses and our customers don't recognise that we're embracing that side of our business, we're sunk really. It's not about going organic or anything, it's just about being practical and realising that we are in the food business on farms, if we're a meat producing farm, and being able to assure to our customers that we are indeed producing a top quality world class product that people want, and that's what farm planning is about. It's really about economics.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.